Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Going Off Track podcast. I'm Kathryn, that's Emily, and after a week off, we are back to some racing.
Yay! Let's go. I'm so ready for racing. It feels like it's been 3 weeks just because I've had so much going on, but God bless it. We are back. I'm in. Let's go.
I love that sweatshirt of yours, by the way.
I do too, and honestly, I am surprised that it comes from Abercrombie, but it's like the coolest sweatshirt ever. And it goes all the way down the arms.
You also have it in giant size.
Oh yeah, I have it's like an extra large or something stupid, but yeah, no, I actually wore it on a work call on Fridays, because like Fridays I generally work from home, and someone asked me on our group call, they're like, do you watch F1 or are you just like do you just have like, you know how some people that wear like a Yankees hat, but they're truly not a Yankees fan? He's like, do you know what Williams Racing is? I'm like, yeah, I do. And I know the whole genealogy of the team, too, if you'd like me to educate you. No, I'm just kidding. No, but it was really cool to see, like, someone I work with actually follows F1. Unfortunately, they're a Red Bull fan.
Unfortunately
for me. But yeah, no. So it's fun for us to, like, talk and it created conversation. And it's nice to have, like, fun sports talks on work calls, so...
Yeah,
Abercrombie
exactly.
Bringing the world together. Moral of the story.
Obviously. This is gonna be a fun weekend. Baku usually gives us a really good race. The track is so unique for being a street track and just be like the design of it. But the one I think big drawback to this week is for me and people who live on like the western half of the United States, the race starts at 4:00 in the morning.
Oh, I forget that about Baku.
Yeah, Baku is like the weirdest timed race, at least for me. Because like I can handle a night race, I can stay up late, but it's the only
is like
one at
my
40.
Australia.
It really is, yeah.
It's the Australia of the F1 Central Time races.
Yes. And I mean, I will wake up for it. And of course, we have a volleyball tournament this weekend that we're hosting. So I will be working 6 volleyball matches over 4 days around the Azerbaijan GP weekend. So this is going to be a lot of weird hours for me.
Gotta love it. Yeah, I might be recording this one. Not gonna lie. But
we'll see.
6:00 is just so hard for me. I know it's not 4. I know
that's
it's
like normal Europe for me.
But you have to remember, I had 3 years of like the best times ever, except for Singapore. Australia was fine. Singapore was brutal. And Japan.
I think Japan and China were also really bad for you.
Yeah, Asia was bad for me.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I think Singapore was fine. It was just on Saturday.
Yes.
Yes, it was, or something like, whatever, it doesn't matter. But I had 3 beautiful years of, casually waking up on a Sunday, watching races, having lunch during a race. And now, I'm back to this wonderful North American life. So, go team.
Yeah.
But
I will say that, like, it's so early that I will be able to go back to sleep after the race and get a couple hours in before I have to wake up and go to volleyball for the Sunday match. So at least I will be able to go back to bed, because there's no way like that I'm going to go to bed at 8:00 Saturday night. Like, that's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, and like for 6:00 is hard, because 6:00, 7:30, it's over. Your morning has started. So.
Right. Like, I will take a nap, but most people wouldn't.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's jump into it. We have some exciting news, speaking of Williams.
Yes, we do. Yes.
Good old Carlos got his penalty reversed. So we talked about this in our one of our Monza podcasts or episodes. The team Williams challenged the FIA on the penalty against Carlos from the Dutch Grand Prix. So they did review the incident with Lawson and Carlos and everything, and they have revised their decision. It is now deemed a racing incident. So the points that were against his super license, he had 2 points from the penalty, those are being removed. So he's like, dropping back down. We know that points get thrown around left and right, and they do accumulate. And if you are K-Mags from last season, you may be sitting out a race because you have too many points against your super license. So it is important. Basically, like, I knew this was going to happen. We saw it. It looked like a racing incident. I think it was ridiculous. He got a 10-second penalty for that, and then Kimi got a 10-second penalty for what happened with Charles. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. It wasn't to the same, level. And I know we talked at length about how there needs to be, stronger penalties for things that happen in race.
Which is what the drivers decided on. For this was not this didn't come from the FIA and the stewards.
No, this was driver led. Yes, for safety and for fairness. However, I only think it needs to be 10 seconds when it's deserving.
Right. Yeah. I think the real big point of this is, and part of the FIA reversing their decision is they said they couldn't do anything to undo the 10-second penalty that Carlos did serve at Zandvoort, because you can't do those after the fact. But I think the whole situation is just so dumb, because Williams forced what's called right of review because the FIA refused to speak to Carlos about the race, the racing incident after the race. There was no reason for it to go on as long as it did, with Williams having to force this, because they said, well, we need to pack up and go home and catch our flight, or whatever it was. This could have all been resolved right after Zandvoort instead of taking 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I think it just makes the FIA look dumb.
Why make it easy and logical when we don't have to?
I mean, you're not wrong, but I just seeing this from the perspective of this was really dumb. Like, why did we have to go through weeks of this and then, endure all of this conversation and blah, blah, blah. But no, they decided to backtrack, rightly so, because it really was clear that as difficult as a position that both cars were in, no driver was really entirely at fault in the way that it really came down onto Carlos. And obviously we are also biased towards Carlos, but it none of this should have happened.
No, absolutely not. And honestly, as much as it sucks, and yes, it was drawn out, and yes, it never should have happened to begin with. It should have been a racing incident from the start. As much as it sucks, I'm glad that they at least righted the wrong of the points against the super license. I think that's a huge win for Williams. Is it the best possible outcome? Unfortunately, I think so. Yeah. After the fact. So
yeah, that's really what it comes down to, is that they did actually right this wrong. We've seen mostly Haas over the last few years has forced the right of review. A couple other teams have, and there really hasn't been a change. So, and I think I said this when it was announced that they were doing right of review. I was like, nothing's probably going to change, and it'll be hidden under the radar of the McLaren papaya rules nonsense, and no one's going to hear anything. So I was really impressed that there was actually something there that happened that was in favor of the team that was putting in for review.
Yeah. So I have a rule question for you.
Okay.
So he gets hit with a 10-second penalty. We're in race, right?
Yes.
In race. Gets hit with a 10-second penalty. If he chooses not to serve that because they're so confident that this is not right and it should be reversed, never serves the penalty. Obviously, then he's you get a grid drop, but then would they have had the opportunity to say, oh, we messed up, we're removing those points, and we're, changing the outcome of the race? I don't know how that would work. I don't know if it can work.
I don't think so. I think the real big deterrent for following races is that grid drop situation. See Checo Perez's double DNF a couple years ago. They brought his car back out so that he could serve the penalty, so that he wouldn't take a grid drop the following race. And I think
because what you're saying is it would have been a grid drop in Monza, and they hadn't figured it out by Monza.
Right. So then
it would have just kept okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Well, I feel like they could really challenge it right after the Dutch Grand Prix, though, and be like, hey, we're not serving it because we're going to challenge this, and you're going to talk to us.
And I think that's where, the steward said, no, we're not going to talk to you for whatever. Like, I want to know why the stewards refused to speak to Carlos. I know that they had to talk to a few other drivers because of some other racing incidents during that race. But
Yeah.
I want to know why they flat out refused to talk to him. I think, honestly, now that I'm thinking about it more, is it might have been because he served the penalty. Like it's like you served your penalty.
Saying. Yeah, like because they're almost admitting fault at that point.
Yeah,
so I wonder like what would have happened if he didn't. Because if like in my mind,
well,
if
he didn't, it would have just been a grid drop, and then whatever
unless
further
they talked to
escalation
him right
is deemed
after
in
the race, and then
which they did not.
Right, but I wonder if they didn't. And JV and Carlos like really went at him of like, no, you're talking to us. You have to talk to us. Like, we're not taking this penalty. I wonder if they would have made a bigger stink if the outcome would have changed. You know what I mean? But at the same time, like,
I don't really know.
We can't trust them, and so it could have just gotten worse and worse and worse. So, I mean, either way, this is the best possible outcome for what happened, I think. And Carlos lives to drive another day with 2 less points on his license. So
yeah, he's no longer in the top 10. I don't know. I don't quite remember where he falls right now. Really, the race ban watch is Ollie Behrman, who is at 10.
Poor kid.
The magic number is 12. So that's really the big flashing thing that we've got going here. And then I Max is at 9, and he's got 2 points that will come off at the end of October after Mexico. So there's still an opportunity for a race ban if I'm going to go between Max and Ollie. I think Ollie will probably get the race ban before Max, just with the way things are shaping up right now. But yeah, Ollie is the one who is really on race ban watch at the moment.
Ugh.
So we'll see.
Poor kid.
Yeah.
Also, some more exciting news if you choose to dabble in liking sprint races. The sprint calendar has been released for 2026. Kathryn, I'm so interested to hear your thoughts. So for everyone listening or watching, Kathryn and I have barely talked the last 2 weeks because she's been super busy, I've been super busy, and we haven't had a chance to fully digest the sprint calendar, and now we get to do it live, which I'm very excited for me and for her and also for all of you. So with that, Kathryn, sprint calendar, thoughts, feels.
Well, before we get into everything else, I do want to say that the one thing I said to you is, let's literally F1 said, let's figure out how to ruin Silverstone. So that is, if you've missed it. Yes.
I hate it.
So if you've missed it and you're living under a rock or whatever, the 2026 sprint calendar is China, Miami, Canada, Silverstone, Zandvoort, and Singapore. China and Miami once again are back-to-back sprint weekends, and Canada, Zandvoort, and Singapore are new sprint races. And of the 3 new tracks, my first thought is a sprint weekend might actually be good in Zandvoort.
I know, when I saw Zandvoort, I was like, love to see it. I'm really disappointed Brazil isn't on here because we love a Brazil sprint race. We've said this before, the shorter tracks are better sprints. Where's Monaco? I'd love to see it, but it's not there.
So here's my tinfoil hat theory.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Here's my tinfoil hat theory on this and why we lost Brazil for the moment. And we are bringing on 3 new tracks, one of which is going to be leaving after 2026. But the thought that popped into my head is F1 wants to diversify the number of tracks that are sprint races so that they can justify adding more sprint races once we get to 2027.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I also think that they're just trying to ruin our lives.
I mean, they are.
I think they're just trying to throw shit at a wall and see what sticks. And they're like, yeah, see, sprint races are great. And it's like, oh, we tried here, didn't work. Let's try somewhere else. They're trying to make sprint weekends happen.
Yeah, and I think the number. So first of all, they're not expanding in 26 because we're having a regulation change, which I think is fair. So that we have to defer this to 2027. But I do think that they're really going to justify this through the fact that people will tune in to more F1 weekends on sprint weekends because there's 2 races. So you're not going to have somebody wake up at 2:00 in the morning for FP1, but you're going to have someone, wake up at 2:00 in the morning for sprint qualifying.
But here's the thing that's stupid with that. Miami is such a hugely publicized race. It's a convenient race time for the U.S., and they do have a larger U.S., crowd now. I wouldn't say it's like as big as Europe or Asia, but they have a big, chunk in, let's say, North American time zone.
Right.
So people are already watching Miami weekend. Silverstone is like, besides Monaco, Silverstone is like the most iconic weekend. Everyone's already watching that weekend. So, like,
Right.
Why do you want to ruin Silverstone? Singapore, I think, is fine, but, like, based on where it is geographically, same with China, like, those are hard weekends to watch for the majority of your viewership. So, like...
Yeah, you do run into the problem of, like, Formula One competing with everything else happening in prime time, especially a Singapore date, which is going to compete in prime time with all the Friday night, Saturday night sports that time of year, all that football. But I don't like, I think Singapore is too long of a track.
Yeah.
Like, once again, I'm going to, my hill to die on is long tracks do not make for good sprint races or sprint weekends. China is a good sprint weekend because it gets weather. That's the only reason why it's good. Miami needs the sprint because if not, it would be the most boring weekend of all time, and it instead is just a boring weekend in general. And
okay,
Canada's
let's pause there though. Miami Sprint was interesting because of weather, but only because of weather.
Only because of weather.
Only because of weather. Canada, I could care less. I honestly don't love Canada. If it disappeared from the schedule, I wouldn't notice.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, like, is it important to have a track in a race in Canada? I think it's valuable. Just for North American side, I don't think Montreal is a great track for modern Formula One.
Yeah.
And then I don't know why they're messing with Zandvoort, letting Zandvoort go out on a high or on a low. I mean, we'll see next year. But
or maybe it's, they're, I don't know. But I don't see Zandvoort being a bad one. I think of all of these, Zandvoort's going to be the best one. Because it's a
shorter tracks make for great sprint weekends. Yep. Which also, Monaco, if you're going to be throwing shit at a wall to see what sticks, I'm calling for Monaco in 2027.
God,
let's get this on the calendar. Let's add this to the list of ways we can save Monaco from being a pretty parade in front of a bunch of boats. Like, come on, Stefano. Let's do it. I'm calling him out.
I know. I've been saying this from the get-go.
We have been,
I'm the one that was like, let's make it Monaco. And you're like, oh my gosh, yes.
You did start it. Yeah. We need to make it happen. I actually have been hearing since they've released the 2026 calendar, I have been hearing people start saying it's not just us. Like it's bigger names in the F1 podcast
Kathryn,
space that have been saying it.
We started this trend.
That is
we
true.
We started this trend.
But
I don't care
I'm
what
happy.
Anyone says, I just have to believe that in my head.
No, I'm totally there for that. Like I will die on that hill as well. But I am saying it is good that we're not the only ones who can see it.
Right. So we're right. We're being validated.
Of course we're right. We're always right unless we're not right. But if we're not right, it's not our fault.
Exactly.
Yeah. But anyway, the sprint calendar, we only have to deal with 6 next year. I really don't. Like, the more that I'm looking at it and the more that I'm not seeing Sao Paulo on there, the more disappointed I am.
I know.
It's the only one that we actually look forward to every year. Oh, I feel so weird saying that. Oh, that just makes me feel so weird.
I know. I'm upset.
Yeah.
But anyways, all right. Last but not least, and you just sent this to me and I kind of looked at it, but I was also in calls until 5 minutes ago because that's my life now. But some really fun collab news. So Pottery Barn Teens and Kids now have an F1 line, which is really cool. And even though it's for kids, it's not. It's for big kids too.
Honestly though, the Pottery Barn Kids line, definitely for kids. But the Pottery Barn Teen line, definitely there's some stuff in there. Like, one of the things that really jumped out to me was this duffel bag, and the duffel bag and the backpack. I was like, oh, I could take the duffel bag and the backpack, and I would use that as an adult human person.
I like the neon sign.
And if you really want a neon sign, you can get a neon sign of the F1 logo without having to go to all the other people who make, neon signs of tracks and everything. So I really like this teen line.
I'm looking at all of it right now.
It's not a huge line.
No, but there's a really
nice.
cool like sketch too.
Yeah.
Like a framed sketch of a car. Those are cool. I like those.
Yeah. Of course, you are going to be paying a premium for a lot of these things. The most expensive thing I looked earlier today is the large F1 beanbag chairs, $349, and that's in the teen line. And on the kids line, there is an F1 track rug, like those rugs that you grew up with that like look like streets, and you can like drive your little fake cars on them and like while lying down. So they have one that's an F1 track that, depending on the size, runs for between $399 and $849.
That's insane.
Yeah, there are affordable options in both lines, which I give them serious credit for, because Pottery Barn is not a cheap brand.
Well, yeah, like the light, the really cool neon light that's like F1 and it's all lit up like Tron style. It's only $150, which like
that's not bad for a neon sign.
More. So yeah, no, it's not bad.
Yeah, I really like the teen line, like even the big jersey quilt, like the bedding, like that looks nice. I wouldn't get like the sheet set, because I think the sheet set's a little pricey and also like not my vibe. But there's a lot of like, this is for children and children at heart.
Exactly. Love it.
Yeah, I'm impressed with this. Like, sometimes I'll look at collabs and be like, that's cool, but I would never actually go out of my way and buy it. Like, I feel like the F1, Peanuts collab, it's like, that's really cool, but where am I going to wear that out to unless I'm going to an F1 race?
Yeah.
But this furniture, line, I'm impressed with. Like, more Formula One needs to do more of that.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Time to hit the streets, Kathryn.
We're going back to the streets.
We're going to the streets. We're going to Baku. I'm excited. I love this race. I really do. I feel like, well, no, that's a lie. I think Singapore's my favorite street race.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, like, nothing happens.
And it's very hard to overtake.
It's just pretty, though, and cool and fun at night under the lights. But Baku, right, I think, is probably, like, our most entertaining street race.
It gives us the most intrigue week in and week out. No, not the race. The race itself isn't always the best. Like last year, they had to end the race under a safety car because of that crash between Perez and Sainz. But typically, we do get really exciting racing. Charles Leclerc is a exceptional qualifier at Baku. Not as his finish rate is not as great, and of course there's the famous "I am stupid" crash, which is of course one of the two things that has been thrown back to on social media is A, the "I am stupid" crash from I think 2019, and B, Max Verstappen kicking his car after he crashed in 2021 while wearing Liam Lawson's shoes. Is the other one.
Never forget.
Never forget. I mean, we are not allowed to forget that now. But this also was a really interesting race just, last year, even though it didn't end well, because this was the first time McLaren took over the lead of the Constructors' Championship since 2014.
It was a big one. Definitely a big one. No, it's exciting. And speaking of that, this weekend, they have the opportunity or chance to clinch Constructors.
And I do believe if they do clinch this weekend, they will set a record for earliest in the season, which doesn't always, vibe with reality because this is one of the longest calendars of all time. Right. But yeah, they can clinch. And I love the scenarios because there's like two totally normal scenarios. And then there's a third that's just like banana pants hilarious. So the normal scenario is they can finish with a 1-2 or a 1-3. Then the other if you really want to go into the technical nitty gritty, is they have to outscore Ferrari by 9 points because Ferrari is currently in P2 and not be outscored by Mercedes by 12 points. So Mercedes cannot have 12 points more than McLaren, and also cannot be outscored by Red Bull by 33 points.
But okay, there's not even that many points on the table.
Well, technically there is not.
This is like one of those brain problems of like, there's 10 brown and five white, but like how many are black? And you're like, I don't know.
You're forgetting that if Red Bull scores a 1-2 and McLaren doesn't score, that will be more than 33 points. You forget that you can score with two drivers because Red Bull typically doesn't score with two drivers these days.
Fair. I wasn't even including Yuki in this conversation.
I know, right? So technically,
like, but where
Red
are
Bull
they going to get the other points? They can't get
Red Bull could. Are they going to with Yuki? Probably not. But technically, there is a scenario that is like Mercedes and Red Bull, and McLaren just has to like. But McLaren would have to double DNF, and all the other teams would have to finish like in some scramble on the podium, and McLaren would not clinch it this weekend. They're probably going to clinch it this weekend.
Kathryn, this is some hard ass F1 algebra right now.
I know, and I don't
Solve
do math.
for X. But there's two, so it's 2X. So McLaren is, it's like, you know that meme where she's like staring at a whiteboard and there's like all these calculations going around? Literally my brain right now trying to like fit drivers in scenarios and be like, this is exactly what has to happen.
Basically, McLaren needs to not screw up.
That's a big variable.
I know. Based on how they are doing these days, that is a big ask. Because honestly, there's every opportunity for them to take a fair 1-2 or even a fair 1-3, or they're just going to crash into each other and take each other out.
You never know.
We don't. We will see on Sunday.
We
at
will.
4 o'clock in the
Speaking
morning.
of seeing on Sunday, let's jump into our predictions for this weekend. So, if I'm not mistaken, the last few times you and I have been fairly close in our predictions.
Yes.
I'm interested to see how we do this weekend. So,
I'm pretty sure it's going to be pretty bad.
Let's start out with pole. Who do you have in pole?
For pole, I went with the current reigning king of the streets, at the very least for qualifying. I'm going with Charles.
Good pick. I picked Oscar.
Totally fair. Probably going to be him.
Yeah, I'm just like not quite ready to, put all my oomph behind Ferrari. God bless him.
I'm willing to do so in, I say qualifying and podium. Like, honestly, it's going to be more qualifying. I don't know what I was thinking with my podium, but from a qualifying standpoint, I think that they can figure out qualifying. It's just when they're actually racing that they have problems. So that's what I went with.
Fair. Okay, so speaking of that, what is your podium?
My podium is, and this is totally going to be wrong, but my podium is a championship clinching Oscar P1, Charles P2, Lando P3.
Okay, so not far off. I have Oscar, Lando, Charles.
Okay, we are really hoping that Ferrari will not Ferrari themselves during this race. So we're probably...
I mean, they will, because they'll go from pole to P2 in your situation, but, we are still... We got high hopes for Ferrari.
We are optimistic, and you know what optimism does? It kills you, so...
It gets us no points in our predictions. Speaking of optimism, I have Yuki in P10. So I lied. He does get a point. He is scoring points and contributing.
Bless it. We can only hope.
P10?
I was like, who have I not actually picked lately that could conceivably, finish around P10? And I don't know if they can conceivably finish around P10, but I'm going with Gabriel Bortoleto.
Okay. I'll accept it.
Yeah, I mean,
he's done better, and he's also done worse. So
that is true. And honestly, I haven't picked him lately, and I was just feeling kind of like going from only picking Oscar for pole and picking like the same combination of Oscar, Lando, Max for podium. I'm like, let's mix it up this week. It's not going to end well, but I'm going to try, and hopefully other drivers will try as well.
Obsessed.
Yeah.
All right, then just for fun, Kathryn and I tried to guess a big surprise of the weekend and who does a dumb. So what is your big surprise this weekend, Kathryn?
So my big surprise is going back into that third scenario is I think that some combination of Mercedes and or Red Bull will stop McLaren from clinching this weekend. That's my big surprise.
Okay. I accept.
Divide by apple, multiply by 14
Equals banana.
equals squash. Yeah.
Okay, what did I write down actually? Oh, I said that we're gonna have 2 solid race weekends in a row.
Ooh,
so
I like that.
Monza was a good race weekend. I think we're gonna get good racing out of Baku, and this is very, subjective.
Yeah. Yeah.
We will apply a lot of judgment, and it will only be our judgment. So if you didn't like it, but we did, then
congratulations. I mean, honestly, I think we're kind of due for a better Baku, especially after last year ended under VSC.
I know.
So let's cross fingers and toes that we do get two good race weekends in a row,
putting it up
plus
to the universe.
a better Baku. Like, we don't have King of the Street Sergio Perez yet anymore, but there's every opportunity that we have some intrigue that lasts us through the full weekend and through the race, because like I said earlier, like, Baku will give us intrigue going through the entire weekend. It's just a matter of how Sunday also performs.
Agreed. All right, who's gonna do a dumb?
I'm going with our boys at Ferrari, because I just feel like
I love the contradiction of yourself.
I know.
You're like, oh, we're hoping that they do well because I put them in P2, and then you're like, nope, Ferrari's gonna screw themselves.
Well, yeah, but it's not just Charles' side of the garage that we have to worry about. Like, we forget that there are 2 Red Bull drivers.
We forgot about this.
Yeah, so I think especially from like the Lewis side of things, I'm really curious to see how Lewis is going to handle the technicality of this track. Like, obviously he's raced in Baku for, his entire career, but racing at Baku in a Ferrari with Ferrari strategy, I think, is where Ferrari is going to have their stumbles this weekend.
That's fair.
Yeah. What about you?
Maybe I need to start pulling my punches, but that's just not who I am. I said the FIA is going to make some dumb decisions this weekend.
Ooh, we're going back to blaming Rui Marquez. Like, this is whatever race last season that Rui Marquez ruined the race. Qatar. We're going back to Qatar.
Yep. There we go.
All right, let's see how things go. And if you want to hear more about what happened at Qatar with Rui Marquez, linked above, as always.
All right, well, I'm excited to see some more racing. Again, it feels like we've been on break for 3 weeks. It feels like another summer break, even though it's not.
Honestly.
And it's only been 2 weeks, which is crazy. Yeah. But should be really, really exciting. So, yay.
Yeah. There was some rumblings earlier in the week of like rain forecast, which when I checked the rain forecast this morning when I was doing the rundown, the rain forecast this weekend is only around 5 to 10% the entire weekend. So this is going to be a dry weekend. I do not think rain is going to be a factor. And if it is, I think like the most chance of rain is going to be overnight. So and not even like before the race. So the rubber that's going to be laid down will not be washed away. But I'm really excited. I just really want a good Baku.
I know there's nothing's more like disappointing when you wake up at 4 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning to watch really shit racing. Am I right?
Yes, I will be waking up at 4 o'clock for this race, but I just, Baku, like, there's no in between. You don't have a mediocre Baku. You have a great Baku or you have a bad Baku. And I think we are definitely due for a great Baku. And I'm going to have to wake up for 4 o'clock in the morning to see what this race is going to be like. And that's a lot for me.
I know. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Great.
All right. Well, up next, we will have our Baku recap episode, which will be out on Monday. That's it for the Baku prediction podcast. Thanks for going off track with us, guys.